What is up? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be all about how you can handle hunger when shredding. On my fitness journey, I have been through many shreds, especially the hardest one being my October show in 2019. I got into the leanest condition I have ever been in. Definitely a challenge, but in saying this, I have learned a lot about how to handle hunger when shredding. So I thought I would share my top tips to help you push through. So before I get into the tips, I think I need to talk about shredding and the process of it. In order to lose fat, we need to be in a caloric deficit. In short, a caloric deficit is eating less food, less calories, than our body requires to maintain weight. For example, if this is the amount of calories your body requires to maintain weight, we need to be eating under here. If you wanted to build muscle and gain weight, you would be eating up here. So it is only natural that you will feel hungry at some point on your shredding journey. People are so used to, not feeling hungry because they can eat whenever they want, whatever they want, so that when they go into a fat loss phase, they're not used to feeling uncomfortable and feeling a little bit hungry. So these tips are here to help you, help make things easier. These are some of the top tips that I personally use for myself and that I encourage the And Julie Fit Squad to follow too. Okay, so let's get into the tips. These tips are not going to be in any particular order, but take some notes because hopefully they will help you push through the shred. So first things first, let's talk about volume foods. If you are anything like me, you have a big appetite. I absolutely love food and I could eat for days. But when shredding, we just don't have an abundance of calories. So I really focus on volume foods. What are volume foods? Volume foods include foods like pumpkin, vegetables, salad mixes, and any kind of food that you can eat that kind of fills up your plate with volume with minimal calories. So pumpkin instead of sweet potato. I personally like to load my plate up with an crazy amount of vegetables when I'm shredding just to help me. It's like if you have 1500 calories for fat loss, you're not going to go and eat 500 calories of ice cream because one, it's not going to leave you feeling full for very long. It's not going to fuel you for your workouts, and it's not really going to help you with your shred in terms of overall energy levels and how you feel from the inside out. Whereas, if you're on 2500 calories, 500 calories of ice cream isn't the end of the world because you still have another 2000 calories to focus on whole foods. So when I am shredding in particular, I really focus on whole foods. I aim for more like a 90% whole food, 10% soul foods situation, just because I would like to feel really full. So this comes in terms of if I'm making oats, I'll add some cauliflower rice to my oats. I have lots of recipes on TikTok and Instagram showing you how I make these oats, but it just helps to add volume to it without a crazy amount of calories. Other ways to kind of make my food more interesting when shredding include using seasonings and different sauces. So instead of using a full, sugar ketchup, I'll use a 50% less sugar ketchup. I'll use things like sriracha, I'll use seasonings, and I won't go for like the very caloric dense things such as a salad dressing that has a lot of olive oil in it, or I would use PB2 peanut butter powder instead of Nutella. So it's making a lot of little swaps that kind of swap out a significant amount of calories for something that I still enjoy, but it's just higher volume. So instead of having an ice cream, I would go for some defrosted strawberries with sugar-free maple syrup. It's all about making little switches that allow you to still enjoy the foods that you eat, but without the extra calories. Speaking of calories, let's talk about macronutrients. So you've got your proteins, fats, and carbs, and I'm also going to slot in fiber here. So when it comes to achieving our goals, of course, the most important thing for weight loss is going to be a caloric deficit. But when it comes to overall body composition and how we actually feel from the inside out, it's really important to have a good understanding of our proteins, fats, carbs, and fiber and how they play in a role in shaping our body and providing us with the fuel we need to go throughout our days. In terms of what each macronutrient is for, fiber is really important when it comes to digestion and overall health. Protein is important for recovery. Carbs are important for fueling us through our workouts, and fats are very important for our hormonal health. If we were to look at it as a pyramid of things, down the bottom here, calories would be the most important thing for weight loss. But then we want to look at hitting our protein intake. This will help with recovery, but it also helps with satiation. I'm going to loop in fiber here. You should be aiming for about 20 to 30 grams of fiber per day. Load up on those veggies. Next step, we've got carbs to fuel us, and then the smallest point would be our fat. So just enough to make sure that our hormones are functioning properly and that we have enough essential fats in our diet. So when it comes to macros, it is important to understand having a good split of proteins, fats, and carbs to help fuel us through our workouts, help with recovery, and to help us actually shape our bodies. We really want to make sure that we are maintaining as much muscle as possible when shredding. So keeping that protein intake up is really going to be important on your journey. Another really important aspect of this is water intake. The amount of people that join the squad or DM me and tell me that they only drink a couple of glasses of water a day just blows my mind. Water plays a massive role in our body's functions. It is so important for our skin, our energy levels, our hunger, our cravings, fat loss. Water has so many benefits for the body. I kind of just stated the things that I personally like the benefits of, but I do recommend that you drink at least 3 liters of water a day. I personally drink 3.5 to 4 liters of water a day. The minimum amount for women is recommended at 2.7 liters of water. On the days where I am skimping a little bit on my water, I do find that I am more hungry. So I do recommend that you start the day with a big glass of water and then space it out throughout the day. Everyone is like, but I need to go to the bathroom all the time when I drink more water. Honestly, you get used to it. Your body gets used to it. Please make sure that you are carrying a water bottle with you everywhere you go and hit that 3 liters of water. You will be surprised by the effects it has on your body. I personally love the fact that it helps curb my hunger when shredding, and I also find that it helps my skin stay nice and fresh. Speaking of water, hunger, and cravings, let's talk about cravings in general. Oh my gosh, cravings are going to be the end of a shred if you do not handle them. So I personally like to plan my days in advance. I will plan the night before or the morning of what I'm going to eat in the day, and I make sure that I factor in something each day that I enjoy. Usually when I'm shredding, it'll be something like defrosted berries with sugar-free maple syrup, or maybe it's a sugar-free hot chocolate, or a jelly light at the end of the day as a dessert. I personally have a sweet tooth, and yes, I do get cravings too. I am not supernatural, I'm not superhuman, but it just comes down to planning in advance. So if you're someone that has cravings, make sure you plan your day in advance, what you're going to eat, and make sure you factor in something that you actually enjoy within your calories so that you know you can look forward to it and stay on track whilst achieving your goals. If you really struggle with cravings, I actually have a full video on YouTube. You can search in Julie Mac Cravings and you'll find that video. Cravings honestly can be an absolute nightmare when shredding, but it just comes down to planning in advance and not giving into them. The more that you give into a craving, the more you're training your body to do so every time that you do it. So really try, and leading on to my next tip, stay busy. A lot of people find that in the weekends they overeat, usually on a Sunday when they're sitting around the house. It's because they're bored eating. They're just sitting around, they don't know what else to do, so they reach for the cupboard, they reach for the snacks. You want to stay busy. You don't want to be sitting around just thinking of food the whole time on your shred. So get out and about, make sure you kind of leave any temptations out of the house that are going to distract you from your goal. I personally know when I'm leaning down for a competition, I don't need a big block of chocolate in the freezer. I need to make sure that I have foods that are in alignment with my goals that are going to fuel me to get me through my shred so I can step on that stage and know that I gave it everything I had. Something that plays a big role in our cravings and overall feelings of hunger is sleep. I cannot stress this enough. Please aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Sleep is not only important for fat loss, but it's also important for overall health. There are many side effects long term of not sleeping enough. So 7 to 9 hours. I personally aim for about 7.5 to 8 hours. I prefer more 8 hours of sleep per night but everyone is different. So find out what amount of sleep suits you best and then get a good sleep routine and morning routine in around that. The reason why sleep is so important when it comes to fat loss is because sleep helps to regulate our hormones. So if you've ever noticed, like, after a bad night's sleep, you're more hungry, it's not just in your head, it actually has to do with your hormones. So ghrelin, the hormone, is kind of the one that signals to you when you're hungry, whereas leptin is the one that will signal to your body that you are full. So if you don't have a good night's sleep, your ghrelin and leptin levels are not necessarily being regulated properly. So you'll find that not only are you more hungry due to the ghrelin, but you're also not quite sure of when you're full due to the leptin. So we do want to make sure that we are getting quality sleep to make the shred easier. Like, honestly, shredding is not necessarily easy. It might be simple in terms of, it's just about calories you burn, being in a caloric deficit, but it doesn't mean it's easy. And by not getting enough sleep, you're not going to make it easier for you. So please prioritize these key things like sleep, water intake, planning your meals in advance. There's so many different ways to make a shred easier. Now, some last words of wisdom for those of you that are looking to lose fat in 2021. The ideal goal for you, for me, for everyone on the Injury Fit Squad is to lose fat on the highest amount of calories with the least amount of cardio. That is my goal for you. My second goal is that we don't stay in a caloric deficit for too long. We want to lose fat and then we want to get out of there. So for me personally, I've just done a fat loss phase and now I'm slowly starting to reverse diet where I increase my calories to maintain the shape that I have without gaining an excessive amount of fat back. This is my goal for everyone. So I usually work with women longer term. We do the shred, maybe it's like 12 weeks, maybe you've got more fat to lose, so maybe it's a little bit longer, and then we reverse diet. A high amount of people will gain the weight back that they've lost if they don't stay with the coach after. So any kind of diet that you see people do, they'll lose the weight really quickly, but then they go back to what they were doing before and they gain the weight back and more. I don't want that for you. I want us to stop the cycle of yo-yo dieting. What we really want to do is actually not focus on the scales, not focus on, the fluctuation in the scales. We want to focus on actually making this a lifestyle and building healthy habits. So I want you to focus on drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, understanding your nutrition, getting back on track. Once you fall off track, don't wait for the next week, the next month, the next year. Just pick yourself up with the next meal. I really recommend that you read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Focus on setting up your environment for success and really making sure that you have a clear idea of what your goal is, why you want to achieve it, and how to get there. Then put in the work, you'll get the results that you want, and then we can work together to reverse diet you so that you can actually keep the results that you've worked so hard for. So for me personally, I did a shred recently. I'm down about 12 pounds, and now I'm gonna start increasing my calories up. Could I get leaner from where I am? Definitely, I could lose a few extra pounds. Do I want to? No, I'm not competing. I don't need to be any leaner. I personally love food and enjoying time with family and friends. So I, for myself, have chosen that I want to reverse diet and get my calories back up over 2,000. This is my personal choice. It is important for you to not compare yourself to anyone else's journey, to realize, what do you want? Do you want to focus on fat loss? Do you want to maintain where you are right now? Do you want to increase your calories and build muscle? Have a real think about what you want and then write it down, get a plan in place and stick to it. As always, if you have any questions at all, you know where to find me. And if you want to work one-on-one with me, head along to anjuliemac.com, sign up today. I'll send you an email about your goals and we'll get started working.